Sophia Eckler, and I will be discussing how my Padlet demonstrates the problematic universe definition of family and getting criticism, along with the ideology code and then media frame, and how that connects to the things that we learned in the course. Now, let's start with the first one, the problematic universal definition of family and Giddens criticism. Now, Murdoch's definition was that family as a social group characterized by common residence, economic cooperation, and reproduction. It includes adults of both sexes, or at least two of who maintain a socially approved sexual relationship. Now, one or more children will be included and, owned or adopted of the sexuality that corroborating in the adult. Now, this was written, or he spoke of this in 1949. Now, my data found that the 20 out of 20 families share a common residence, and that 18 out of 20 families focus on biological offsprings, and that are initially seem to support Murdoch's emphasis on residence and reproductive as key family traits. And Gittens' critique actually challenges the idea of the universal family structure, arguing that the concept of family is historically and culturally specific. She critiques the assumption that the nuclear family is natural or universal, highlighting that highlighting that sorry about that. Highlighting that the definition marginalize other family norms. Now, connecting my data is that the fact that 18 out of 20 families in the sample are white and 14 out of 20 are married. Now, let me just zoom out. As you can see, the data that I have gotten. Now, 22 out of 20 are heterosexual, directing challenges universally. Now, this aligns with Gibbs' argument that the dominant image of family is often culturally specific, or white, middle-class, heterosexual norms. Now, the absence of diverse family structures, single parent, LGBTQ, extended family, really shows that it reinforces the idea that the media often presents a narrow, idealized version of family. Now, let's move on to 2. Ideology code. Now, the definition of ideology code are sets of beliefs, values, assumptions that shape how we understand the world. Now, they often embed in culture productive, like TV or, shows reinforcing certain norms as natural or normal. Now, my data, prevalence of white, heterosexual, biologically oriented, married couple families in my sample suggests a strong ideology code at play. It connects to, the course concept of drawing on Pierre Bourdieu. The concept of symbolic capital helps explain how certain families gain more social values than others. Now, the shows that I analyzed seem to reinforce the idea that the ideal family is white, middle class, heterosexual, based on biological ties. This aligns with arguments that the media representation often legitimizes existing power structure. Okay, now let's move on to media framing. Now, media framing refers to how media outlets, select or emphasizes certain aspects. Certain aspects of reality while downplaying others. Now, this shapes audience perception and understanding. Now, my data shows that the majority of families in my sample size are white, 18 out of 20 are white, and then heterosexual, 20 out of 20, and then this demonstrates data framing. Now, connecting this to the course concept again, Stuart Hall worked on representing the relevance here. Hall argues that the media representations are never neutral. They actively construct meaning. The underrepresentation of non-white and LGBTQ families in my sample size is not a simple reflection of reality, but an active framing that normalizes witnesses and heterosexuality as the standard for family life. So in summary, my research really indicates that the TV shows I analyze tend to reinforce a narrow, idealized image of family that aligns with a white, heterosexual, biological, oriented, and married couple. Now, this supports the sociological argument that the concept of family is socially constructed by Gittins, and then the media representation reflected and reinforced dominant ideology by Bourdieu, and then that media framing shapes our understanding of the world by Hall. Hopefully you enjoyed my presentation. I'm sorry about the difficulties in my window, or my computer doesn't support window, so I had to screen record and use my camera. So